Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our next episode of Masters of Product. Our topic for today is how is AI changing the world of design? And to help us with that topic, we actually have Xinran Ma. He is a senior designer at Redfin. He's also the founder of Design with AI, an education company that actually helps designers just go through that transition that we're about to talk about. And he's also a top-selling author of a series called The Minimalist Career Changer on Amazon. I met Xinran a few months ago, and we kind of started talking about design. I'm like, you know what, Xinran, you have to come on my show. So I'm glad he's here today. As for me, my name is Mustafa Kapadia. I actually help product managers and product teams use AI to be more efficient and effective. So we have a lot of similarities. You can learn more about me and my services at echo-point.com. Xinran, welcome to the show. I'm so glad we're finally doing this.
Likewise, happy to be here.
Perfect.
Thank you for having me.
Xinran, if it's okay, let's just dive in because this is what we're here for. So let's start with the big picture, if you don't mind. How are things changing? Like, what's possible with AI for designers?
Yeah, great question. I think that applies to many other fields as well. Given the wave of AI, every industry is trying to think of different ways to think what's possible with AI.
Yes.
And for design, you get to see all kinds of cool stuff online. Like AI generated videos, AI generated arts.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty valid use cases, right? It's get people excited.
Yeah.
And also, not to mention the copy. Like you can ask AI to write things, and all those things are somewhat part of the designer's day-to-day, but not that integrated well into the day-to-day. So it's sort of helpful, but AI can do like more things than that.
Yeah.
So there are other things, like generating other type of content or generating more specific types of design, such as user interface design.
Yeah.
So that's probably more related to, like a particular day-to-day work as opposed to the cool stuff that you get to see on social media.
Yeah. Let's talk more about the day-to-day because that's what we're here for, right? Just in a high level, like maybe even it's just from your experience, how has your workflow changed, right? What is it that you're doing now that is different than before AI? Or what are, we can go task specific or just in general? Because I think that's what not only I'm curious for, but I'm sure the audience is curious as well.
Yeah. I think in general, the change of workflow itself may not be as huge as many people may think of, but I often feel like it feels like a volcano eruption. So before the eruption, you don't really feel anything. You probably see something change at the top of the mountain, and I feel like that's what I'm feeling right now, because after all, like the most of the thing on a surface level, the workflow has not been really challenged because of AI. However, I'm also in awe of the speed of AI, particular for this year.
Yes.
Like all the new updates of AI tools and the advancements of AI models, so that there are a lot of things that we can do now compared to a year ago.
Yes.
So while from a workflow perspective, I see different roles are trying to do something in a more innovative way. And I know there's some other companies also encourage different people, like whether you're designers or engineers or product managers, to actively think how you can adapt with AI. So there are some small things that are happening, but again, from an overall standpoint, it's not as radical as of now.
Yeah. What I found fascinating about design, I spend most of my time with PMs, and PMs is you can use AI for a lot, right? Because a lot of the work that PMs do, ultimately the deliverable is the written type of deliverable, right? It could be a PRD, it could be an analysis, it could be a competitive deck, whatever it might be. And so AI is really good at those kind of things, right? And then when I think about design, it's a very different animal because design, yes, you actually have things in which you need to write down. So, user flows and jobs to be done and so on and so forth. But then you actually have this component in which is very visual, right? And visual is hard for AI right now. There are tools out there that are trying to get there,
Mm.
but I'm curious what your experience has been, right? I mean, a lot of designers work with Figma, right?
Mm.
And that's always been a tough tool to replicate with AI, or at least have designs replicate that with AI. So I'm curious if you've actually seen anything or different tools that you're using.
Great question. Speaking of Figma, actually, you probably know that right now is Config. It's like a large conference, annual
Yeah,
conference that Figma hosts every year. A lot of designers, probably like thousands of designers, would go to the West Coast to join that
yeah.
event. And they just released some, I wouldn't say AI features per se, but AI is well integrated in those new features.
Oh, good. You know what? I have been, because I know Figma was talking about releasing drawing with AI, and I'm glad I haven't seen the new features yet, so I'm going to take a look. But yes, I know the conference is this. Was it this week or was it last week?
This week, I think
Oh, it's this week. All
the
right.
past 2 days.
So maybe I need to fire up my Figma again and see what they've done. If we have access, that's the other thing. So
Right, right. They did some release last year around AI,
yeah,
but now they just have a new round of features that are probably all integrated with AI, to a certain extent. And so back to your question, Figma itself is actually
yeah,
incorporating AI in its core features. Like one exciting feature is actually Figma Make.
huh,
So basically, you can generate designs or generate user interfaces, to be more specific, with prompts.
yes,
And this is interesting because, like last year, they released something called First Draft, which
yes,
is similar, but this time is more advanced. And even before this new release, there are already other tools like Lovable, V0, Bolt,
yes,
like Magic Patterns. They are all like competing in this space.
yes,
In a similar fashion, the same AI, to be honest, same AI model under the hood, but they're just like doing slightly different things.
yeah.
But I think that's something very interesting from a designer standpoint.
You know
Um,
what? I have never been able to get access to First Draft because I know it was limited release. And I know they were supposed to roll it all out to everyone, but did you do? I'm assuming you already have access to First Draft.
Yeah, the funny
Yeah.
thing is that since it's been a long while that I had not access to First Draft, so I tested yesterday. Actually, I saw First Draft in my sort of like compute my company Figma, but I
Nice.
haven't tested with my personal Figma yet.
Okay. I will have to test because yeah, I do have a personal Figma. I don't have a company one yet. I'll have to see. And I've heard about Figma Make, but that's great. I'll test it out as soon as they roll that out too. um, but it's an interesting because you're absolutely right. Each one of these companies, level of V0, Bolt, and Figma, are approaching the same problem from a different perspective, right? Um, a lot of people I know use Lovable and V0 and all of these tools to get to that first level of prototyping, which is a clickable prototype, right? Um, but like anything else, it's very hard when you try to put it into your own design system.
Yep.
That's when these tools don't work that well. Like First Draft, not Figma First Draft, but just First Draft of the prototype. These tools are great, but they have their own design systems, right? But
Right.
the minute you try to convert them into your design systems, is when I see problems with these tools. But I'm curious to see if you have had any luck with bringing your design systems to any of these tools.
It's very timely question. I feel like I got that question like at least 5 or 10 times over the past few months. Is
Yeah.
that okay? The first generated result is really cool, but now that I wanted to connect with our local design system, is
Yes.
that even possible? And actually, this morning, I'm testing this. So
Yeah.
I'm trying explore with the Redfin's design system with the tool. Actually, it's pretty close. It's much closer than I thought. So
Really?
there are ways you can prompt it. So like the way I'm doing it is like, I'm feeding components by components, and
Um,
there are different plugins online that you can convert the components to React code. And I would just copy that React code and feed it into tools like Magic Patterns or V0
yeah.
and ask it to store usually I don't need to explicitly ask to store to the code base. It will automatically store it. But it's getting pretty close, like based on the experiment that I did this morning.
That's good. I'll have to take a look at it because I've been trying to play around with that a lot because I've been trying to figure out what are the simple design systems. And I've been using Google's design system basically as my way to test, right? And so far, my results have been less than stellar. I mean, it's there. It brings the brand colors and stuff like that. But still, when I look at it, I'm like, you know what? I still have to do a lot on the screen to get it to the point in which I'm happy to show it to a user, right? Like it looks kind of Google, but it's not Google.
I think there are a few things that maybe you can try. Like because since like Material UI is like so popular, common online, and it's also available on the public NPM.
Yes.
And you can particularly call it to reference that. Aside from that, like design system is so broad. So when you're looking at design, it's really about the major components, like how accurate how close they are.
Yeah.
If you can get pretty close to those key components, like for example, button styles, even font style, font family, then you can get a pretty good look about the overall style.
Yeah.
But then it's really a matter of, can you provide simple templates so that it can get more closer to what you're envisioning?
Yeah. I think that's the key. Is that what you're doing? Is you're just simplifying the design system so that it's easier for these coding tools basically to grab them, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried screenshots as a way to do design systems? Because I think I've done screenshots, and that actually has a better impact than actually me exporting design systems into the project files.
Yeah, I tried. I still feel somewhat random. I think the easiest way, the best way I've tried is to, again, use different plugins to convert. You can select a particular component of a page and then ask it to convert to React code.
Yeah.
And then I copy the code into those AI prototyping tools and ask it to, to generate a design based on the code.
Yeah. It makes sense. Or maybe we're just impatient and we just have to wait for 6 months.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Other than using it to design, I'm curious what else do you use it for, right? Yes, creating designs and trying to figure out how to make it look, how to do work in Figma or how to create final design so you can actually get feedback is a big part of being a designer. But I'm curious, what else are you using it?
If I were to put it into simple phrases, I would say gain clarity.
Oh, okay.
And it's a very broad term.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm just not sure about certain things. Or maybe my knowledge, I don't have those kind of knowledge.
Right.
It can be technical terms. It can be, like, say, something about code that I want to understand more. Or it can be certain type of product strategy that I wanted to be part of. I know, the business problems.
Yeah.
I know the business goals. I know some of the user insights. And then I can always feed those necessary context to those standard LLMs and seek for clarity of certain things.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, to be able to, you're absolutely right, because the communication, sometimes PMs will just drop you a PRD. But there's a lot of context out there that you have to get from the PRD and everything else. So I think you can use AI for that. What about synthetic users? Have you played around with synthetic users at all? There's a lot of controversy about if they're good or not. I'm curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, they released probably even over a year ago, and it got some attention back then. I actually also several companies that they created a similar product, pretty similar products. They approached me as well. I have some mixed feelings about those kind of products in general. It sounds very temptive that you can now conduct user research to validate a business idea without actually talking with users. That sounds magical. But I've personally worked with some very good user researchers in my career, and I know how how easy people can get biased on
Yeah,
certain things. So even you're facing real users, you can get very biased
of course.
insight. Not to mention, you know,
Yeah.
dealing with an AI twin of a user.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think synthetic users has it's a lot of promise, but like anything else, with anything with AI, and I think you talk about this too, is that you use um at least you use it for some type of initial sparring, but it never replaces or replicates talking to a real user, right? Um, I actually use synthetic users just for me because I have built synthetic users of my ideal customers, or built personas and profiles of them.
Mm.
And even when I write an article,
Mm.
I'll say, how does so and so think about this article, or what
Mm.
are the things that so and so would find interesting or not find interesting.
Mm.
So I almost use them as like a feedback loop, even though you know I know that part of it is just um, part of it is AI made, but it gives me a new perspective that I'd not thought about,
That's
right?
great. Yeah.
Because when I write and I'll use articles because it's a simple one. When I write articles, I'm always looking at what is the things that I'm missing, the internal bias that you talked about,
Mm.
right? And so by using a set of synthetic users and
Mm.
having them read my article
Mm.
and then have them comment on it,
Mm.
um, is a great way for me to get out of my head,
Mm.
right?
It's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, articles are low stakes, right? So we're not talking about UI, UX design, but I think you can take some of that as well. But I think each one has its own. Um, and I like to build my own synthetic users as opposed to using. I know there's a lot of platforms out there
Mm.
because with that platform, I don't know what the underlying data is.
Mm.
But with mine, I know exactly what I put into it. So I have a bit more confidence.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
And that's important. You want to have some control or due diligence of what
Yeah.
is.
Because otherwise, it's very easy to just have a generic synthetic user you just don't have any control over.
Yeah. Something I appreciate about your approach is at least you're very keen into those perspectives, right? You wanted to like you care about those perspectives,
Yeah.
and that can challenge your own perspective so that you can get a better perspective.
Yeah. And that's what I use. I think that to me sounds, at least personally, I find that to be a much better approach as opposed to, it's easy for people to think, oh, we're going to get rid of the users. That would be horrible. Um, but for me, it's that early validation piece,
Yeah.
right? Like, what is the holes in my thinking? And then once I plug those holes in, then I can actually take it to a real user and have them give me their point of view. And I almost feel like, you know what, I am able to get that meeting with that other with the real user is a much more productive, right? Uh, by the way, clearly people love what you're saying, Xinran. We actually have a LinkedIn user saying go. So let's go. And so before I think this is a really good topic about how AI is changing the work of designers. Anything else you want to add? We talked about design. We talked about synthetic users. We talked about just understanding and getting clarity. Anything else you use it for?
Some sort of production stuff, like execution stuff. Like for example, let's say if we are testing some sort of uh, growth-heavy landing page,
Yeah.
and we wanted to drive certain type of business goals, such as driving more contacts. If that's the case, then everything matters. Like the visual
Yeah.
matters, the copy matters. So for copy, like traditionally, I'm not the best person who can come up with copy.
Yeah.
But thanks to AI,
It's fantastic.
yeah, fantastic. If you just to provide different like context, and it will generate a long list of ideas, you can always say, create some variations of this idea. And I
Yeah.
think for designers, that's sort of like liberation, right? Because we can test different copy very
Yeah.
easily.
It's so easy to do A/B testing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. What about building things like? Have you tried with building, user journeys and user flows? Uh, even I've used it to create sitemaps. Um, just and like anything else, it's the initial draft, right? It's not the final.
Yep. I've tried things about that. Usually I start with ideas. So I don't, like, how to say, I usually ask it to generate options of text first,
Ah,
because, like, text doesn't take as much tokens. And I
right,
wanted to make sure things are look right at the beginning.
right.
So I really usually ask for like ideas. Like, they would still generate options of flows or information architecture on a broader
Yeah,
level. If I'm really into one particular, let's say information architecture or something, so I would dive a little bit deeper. And regarding the visualization, which is very easy in cloud, I can easily ask cloud to convert that into
yeah,
a diagram, and code backed diagram. And
yeah.
I can export that to other platforms to fine tune the graphics, just to help me visualize. Actually, my
Right.
newsletter has some diagrams they were generated.
I will. I saw. You know what I liked about the newsletter? I think it was the last week or the week before, in which you actually used AI to do some type of brainstorming of concept designs, right? I think you actually used it to come up with 3 versions of. Um, were you using V0 or I can't remember? And I know Magic Patterns, right?
Yeah, I was generating design options.
Yes, there you go. Which I think is a great idea, right? Because starting from a blank page is hard. So when you have AI kind of give you 3 mock-ups, and then you can pick and choose which one you want, and then you can actually go into Figma, and then you can actually build it the way you like it, right?
Yeah,
So that brainstorming is fantastic.
thanks.
So, um, let's go. Let's go to the next topic, because I know you kind of mentioned this. Is that with AI, you can do different roles can do a lot of things that other roles are traditionally meant to do, right? Um, you mentioned that with engineering, you can do some of the work that a PM does and a designer does, and PMs can do some of the work that designers do, and designers can do some of the work that PMs can do, vice versa. So I'm curious, in your opinion, how is that changing?
I think it's changing that you get to see the boundary between roles start to get blurry
Yeah,
compared to
very much.
before. Um, like at least before, I would say, like, software engineer and product designer. There's like a lot of things I don't know. Like, there's a huge gap
Right.
between the two. But now at least I can create a prototype, a code backed prototype,
Yeah.
within a short amount of time,
Yeah.
depending how much prompting that I wanted to provide.
Yep.
And this is like liberating for designers as well, uh, because it's like I can't even imagine like how much time it would take me to do something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to PM as well. Now
Definitely.
let's say PM has an idea, as long as you are clear about the idea, you can feed the right prompt into those tools,
Yes.
and then you can probably generate something similar and probably even interactive.
Yes. Well, I think that's how my PMs use it. They use it to go beyond the PRD, right? Because most PMs stop at the PRD. And so they can use that PRD now to create a clickable, codable prototype. And again, that's not the prototype that's going to be in the final product, but it's good to communicate with other teams,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then, of course, designers can take that and say, okay, let me see what I can do to make it, to make it better, make it more usable, and make it more into our design systems. Uh, so I think it actually helps. I think velocity changes because I think now PMs can work much faster, which means that designers need to start working faster, um, which is always hard.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's a good point.
right. And I also, you know what? I didn't ask you this. And before I ask you, there's a bunch of people who are on LinkedIn. So I see a question about tools. We're gonna get to that soon.
Mm.
But if you have other questions to our LinkedIn audience, please drop them in chat and make sure that we'll get to it. I also think that our world is somewhat changing, right? So most of the time, every interaction we've had with a computer has been on the screen, right? With AI, you now have the promise of not having a screen, but having a voice-based interaction. And so now how do you design for a UX or a user experience in which you have no screens, right? And that also is a design process, by the way, right?
Yeah.
It's not just people talking. And so I think it's fascinating where this world is going.
Right, like the multimodal approach.
Yes,
Like
I
hybrid.
totally agree. Let's go to the next question. And you know what? I'm going to actually have our LinkedIn user ask this question because it's the same as what we have, is what I was going to, is what are the tools that you're using, right? What have you used that has been the most impactful or the most used by designers? We've talked a lot about the tools here, but I'm curious to see what are your favorites and what do you use them for?
Cool. I'm sort of like a trying to develop a tool agnostic point of view.
Yeah.
Because I know, again, under the hood, many of them are using the same AI model.
They're all using Claude, by the way.
Exactly, to be more explicit. Yes. And you know, things change very fast. You know, I thought I was very familiar with one of the tools like 1 or 2 years ago, and then they stopped maintaining the tool anymore. So I try to have a sort of like detach with all the things going on with those tools, not to mention updates. You get updates like every month or every week, which can be overwhelming. Anyway, regardless, I think my favorite tools are definitely around those general purpose tools. Because I think they probably, you know, they multi-purpose tools that I can use for like a variety of things. So for example, ChatGPT. You know, I can use it like as assistant, you know, help me doing certain things, write prompts, clarify prompts. You know, I can use it for that purpose.
Yep.
I can obviously use Cloud as well, but I do find there is a different vibe between Cloud and ChatGPT.
Very much.
You feel it as well?
No, totally. And I use Claude for different things, and I use ChatGPT for different things.
Yeah.
Right. I use them both, but I do have certain tasks with one and certain tasks with others. Right.
Me as well. And part of the reason is because I really like Cloud to generate, you know, code-based stuff.
Yes.
So for example, like interactive prototype. It's not perfect, but you can get a pretty good results. I would say if you haven't tried it, chances are it will surprise you.
Yeah.
So that's why I would tend to do other type of tasks in ChatGPT, because I know it's also like a token saving strategy.
Yes.
Because I know Cloud will consume a lot of tokens.
It does.
For that. And I'm on the pro plan for both. But I know still Cloud's pro plan is not.
I always end up running out of tokens with Cloud for whatever reason it is. And maybe it's just because they have the warning that tells you on the bottom. Right. And maybe OpenAI doesn't give you that warning. So who knows? And I actually like Claude a lot for what you talked earlier about, is just brainstorming design options. Right. It's not clickable. It's not as good as Lovable. It's not good as the other ones, but it's very quick. I'm like, I just want options on this modal. And so if you're very specific, it actually helps. So
yeah, I feel the same way. You know, there are other tools like, you know, Magic Patterns, V0 that can take that to the different level.
Yeah.
But I like to, I often start with Cloud, just give me a quick result to double check if the prompt that I gave makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I can always feel more confident, you know, let's say in Magic Patterns to create some sort of like design options or something more precise to what I envision.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I write a lot of my instructions for Bolt and Lovable and Magic Patterns in Claude or ChatGPT first. Right?
For sure.
And I have them create a design spec. And then from that design spec, I'll actually feed it into these tools, which then I can get a lot more control over it. So it seems to be I'm very popular today with my phone. I apologize. This is good. We have another question. So I love the question of tools, and you're right. It's better to actually learn the multi-purpose tools like the back of your hand first, and then go to your specialist tools, because I guarantee you that the specialist tools will change over time, right? Yeah. none of them, I think, are going to have the same sticking power as Claude or ChatGPT. So we actually have a great question from Namisha. So Namisha, please, I'm going to ask it on your behalf. Namisha is asking, what do you think will be the future of UX design with AI? I know we've been talking about it a lot today, but I'm curious if you can boil it down to a few things.
Yeah, it's great to see Nimisha here. It's a great product designer as well.
Oh,
So
do you know her? Oh,
I know
great.
her. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
She's also very into AI products.
Perfect.
Anyway, so the future of UX design with AI, um, it's fun. It's also a very fun topic because I know there are a lot of people wanting to interject AI into the future, but to me, AI is just a way to amplify the future, and that future of UX, how to say, the future of UX design with AI
Right.
is still similar to the future of UX design.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that is based, rooted into the user insights or the real user insights that can solve the real user problem for them in order to achieve a business impact. So that vision is always the same,
Yeah.
but just in terms of execution or tactics wise, it makes things much easier. Like for example,
Yeah.
the AI generated design can automatically integrate live data insights. Like A/B
Right.
tests can become very, very fast or streamlined.
Yes.
And generated design can be like well matching the design system, and you can get
Yeah.
real time user feedback. So those are the amplifiers, I would say, to that future.
Yeah. I will agree. I think the goal of designers does not change. It's the question is how you do it, right? Not just the fact is how you can do it with what you're doing currently, but what are the new capabilities that you can do? And I love the idea that you're talking about in which you can now take a design and it's not just a two-dimensional design. You can actually put your data in it and run A/B testing, right? In fact, one of the concepts that we're testing out right now is that how far can you push that, right? Can you actually put that into some type of a production code and run real live A/B testing for a very small segment of the population? But that requires collaboration with engineers, with designers, and with product to come up and run that test. And so that's a different way, and that's a different way of working. But it does have the possibilities, right? You can come up with an idea, you can test it out in real time, you can expose it to just a small segment of users, get feedback, and then move forward. No more debating if we should build this or not. So
Yeah, totally. And if I were to put in one simple sentence, I would say the future might be a more streamlined, integrated approach across research, data, testing, iterations, development
yeah,
that helps solve the user problem with a business impact.
yeah. I think, yeah, I like that. That's a nice way to encapsulate that. Perfect. We are actually, by the way, Nimisha, thank you for the questions. And if there's other questions, please ask because we're running out of time, and I want to make sure that you get it. You get a chance to ask Xinran. Last question is, we talked a lot about how things are changing, how things are going to change, right? And the tools and the workflow and the impact of how we work with different stakeholders. But if you're a designer, right, what is the best way to get started? How do you prepare for this future?
I think twofold. The first part is familiarize yourself with AI by actually doing things,
Right.
despite the fact that things are not perfect. But we can't. It's similar with other things. We can't wait till the day that everything
Right.
becomes perfect, because you want it to be a, like, whenever things like that, you try to be a early adopter or
Yeah.
relatively early because things are moving really fast. And one day when things actually get perfect, you realize that, oh, you probably missed out on a lot of things, because it's sort of like a muscle that you need to develop of
Yeah.
how to better orchestrate with AI tools and how to think better with AI.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of like bias for action, just building things that actually solve a meaningful problem, either for yourself, your personal pain point, or some others. I think that kind of application is helpful than just like reading all those theories. So that's the first part. The second part is back to my point that Seth Godin has said that one day soon AI will be like electricity.
Yes.
So if that's like, so AI features is no longer compelling because that's a given.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, your competitive advantage will again come back to the strategy of who are you solving the problem for. And I think that empathy component becomes even more important
I
in the
agree.
AI, ironically.
Yeah. No, it makes us, it forces us to be more human.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're absolutely right that AI cannot feel. And so I think that becomes even more important, and understanding the user problem, putting ourselves in their shoes. I think all those things that we keep talking about even from a product perspective become even more and more important, right? How do you influence people? How do you talk to stakeholders? All of those things is now you have more time for. Right? Xinran, this has been fantastic. Any other words of wisdom before we actually end our show?
I hope you all have a great weekend without AI to a certain extent. Just have a peace of mind.
Yes. You know what? I should probably take that on for myself, because I think I always talk about a change in mindset, right? I don't think I start a task now without AI, right? Doesn't matter what it is. I always start there first, and then I'll start refining it. So maybe I'll take you up on that. But thank you very much for today. This has been fantastic. One of these days, we'll have to get you back here for more of a show and tell, because I know this was more of a discussion, but I'm sure our audience will love to see just some of the things that we've done. And maybe we can even take some of your blog posts and maybe we can make that into a show and tell, if you're open for that, and if you're not sick and tired of talking to me. So
looking forward to it.
perfect. Thank you very much, Xinran. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.